Hoochie history with your favorite Hoochie historian, Zorane Truly. Ever wanted to know the Hoochie history behind Tokyo Toni before she was down to the couch at Zeus busting it open for Eddie Winslow? I know you have. Let's get into this episode of Hoochie history.
You are blessed
Tokyo
to
Toni.
have me.
Tokyo was born Selena Jones, October 12, 1971 in Washington, D.C. Although Tokyo stated that she did grow up on the rougher side of town in D.C., that she never lived in the projects, never lived in low-income housing, and she was pretty much raised middle class. Tokyo grew up no stranger to fame. Her father was T.C. Tolliver, who was a world-renowned drummer. Where there is a famous father, there are lots of children. Tokyo grew up one of 15 children, having 9 brothers and 5 sisters. The gag is, Toni would meet the majority of her siblings at school. See, Tokyo's dad was a bit of a rolling stone. He would father children in the neighborhood that Toni was growing up in, and she wouldn't find out that she was actually related to these people until they went to school. Now, Tokyo never talks down on her father, who is still living, still touring, still very successful. It is a fact that he had many kids with Tokyo's mother, without Tokyo's mother, with a neighbor across the street, and with a couple of people down in DC. By the time Tokyo had turned 14, she had found herself in a relationship with a married man. This relationship would be a huge turning point for a young Toni. She would end up pregnant. Shortly after the birth of Angela in 1988, by 1991, Tokyo enlisted in the army. Now, by the time Angela was 7 years old, Tokyo had already had numerous marriages. In the 80s, she married a man during her time in the military. After that, she married a man named Curtis, who ended up going to jail for robbing a bank. Her third marriage being to a man that she stated that she just changed her mind about. Her fourth marriage being a marriage of convenience, where she stated that this man just needed a green card. Eventually, Toni would settle down and marry the strongest man in the world, Marcellus Hunter. Somewhere in between the birth of China and her final marriage in 2012, Tokyo lived quite the lifestyle. Saying that in 1993, she worked as an exotic dancer. Between 92 and 94, she also worked in the corn industry, stating that she was one of the first to be in the scene with Mr. Marcus.
Perfect, hey!
In this time, Tokyo would go by her alias Miss Toni, and she would be featured in countless magazines, websites, and even had a little bit of an escort service. By the time Angela was 16, she would follow in her mom's footsteps, using what she had to get what she wanted. She would in turn be introduced to Tokyo Toni via the countless reality series that China was involved in. Reality shows like Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Robbing China, The Real Black China, season 1 and 2 had a real taste of the personality of Tokyo Toni. Between the countless conspiracy theories, the countless businesses, the trucking company, the children in Uganda, Tokyo has managed to stay relevant and an it girl throughout the decades. And that is the Hoochie history of Tokyo Toni.